What is up, everybody, and welcome to another video. In today's video, I have something extremely exciting to talk about. You may have seen on our main channel, we have a fun little infomercial that we shot, which is, I talked about in a previous video on here. That infomercial shoot is what killed my previous phone. Thankfully, I got a replacement now, but yeah, that was kind of funny. But that infomercial is for a very cool and specific product. So, I have the Vulp with me right now, but the Vulp is not what I'm here to talk about. No, I'm here to talk about this, the Vulp 360. It's like the Vulp, but it's got no blade. Look at that. It's got nothing going on. Instead, it's just got the same Zen pen kind of situation, and then it has the fox ears from my logo. You can see that they're kind of reflected in the design of that. So yeah, that's extremely cool. So here it is compared to the original Vulp. So the Vulp 360, I wanted to talk a bit about that and why it's interesting and what's so cool about it, and some stuff you should probably know about it while I'm doing that. So the Vulp 360 is a very interesting addition to the Vulp collection. It basically is a completely bladeless balisong that was inspired. Brandon was the one who kind of brought this thing into fruition because he was inspired by the Heibel Funchucks, which Adam Heibel made the Funchucks, which are a version of basically the Invictus, but the handles are done in full aluminum, and it's just a completely bladeless balisong that runs on tang pins. Now, this is a kind of conversion of the original Vulp. So you have the original Vulp, has just all of the standard stuff. This uses the same parts as the original Vulp, so it's exactly the same, except the converter piece in the middle is what changes. And so that's going to be the part that actually changes between the various balisongs. Now, because of this, you can use the Vulp 360 converter with any Vulp. If you own an original Vulp already, you could buy just the converter piece and then use it with your Vulp, and it would work, perfectly well to let you flip with a situation where there is no blade. And I'll get into why you might want to do that in a second, but I wanted to go over the features kind of first. So yeah. Now, the difference between this and the Heibel Funchucks is primarily going to be, first of all, Heibel only made 7 of the Funchucks, and this is going to actually be, readily available, so that's a big difference. But the other one is that this one is on Zen pens, right? This uses the same exact Zen pen system as the original, so you do lose a little bit of that really interesting factor that the Funchucks have of where it is exactly the same whether it is open or closed. But in this scenario, I think it's actually really nice because you get that kind of design feature of the little fox ears that I think looks very cute. And overall, it still, works exactly the same way. It is also a bit lighter because then the Funchucks, they do not have a channel milled out because there was no reason to have a channel, but we wanted this to be compatible with existing Vulp handles. It wouldn't make sense to make handles exclusively for this that don't have a channel milled into it, and then nobody could, purchase this other than people who already own a Vulp 360. I don't know, I feel like that would be weird. So we wanted to make it backwards compatible, so we did. So that is kind of an overview of the idea, right? It's a bladeless balisong. It's just a couple of handles. But why is that interesting? Well, I think it's kind of funny because over the course of the Vulp 360 coming into being, originally we were going to kind of treat it as a joke product. Brandon had, his experience with the Funchucks, and he really enjoyed it, and I also enjoyed the Funchucks. Brandon, loves his, but it was never something that we really spent a lot of time actively flipping and figuring out if you could do interesting stuff or if there was a real, interesting reason for them to exist flipping wise, right? I just always thought of them as kind of oh, this is a balisong that you can't chaplain, which is fun, but, weird still. And the main reason I think I felt that way is because I never got to spend that much time with Brandon's Funchucks. They were his Funchucks. I didn't want to steal them from him, so I only got to play with them a bit. But through the phase of actually working on the Vulp 360 and playing with the prototypes and, getting to kind of work on this product, I've had the realization that this is actually way better than I even thought it was. The idea of having a balisong that just doesn't have a blade at all, I think initially was something that was just a fun idea, but nobody had really done anything interesting with that. But nowadays, in flipping, tech is one of the biggest new crazes, right? It's one of the coolest things that's currently happening and going on, and there's just a lot of interesting stuff in the tech sphere. And this product in particular is quite good for sort of messing around with ideas that are kind of related to tech, because there is no blade, right? You're only working with these two handles. So if you do a lot of this tech style stuff, if you do a lot of tech style stuff where you like to sort of go between the various fingers and figure out different ways you can grab it and roll over it and whatnot, this is a really good practice tool for that. That's what I actually figured out after a while of playing with it and realizing, oh wait, I'm actually having like way more fun with this than I thought I would, and I actually think it's making me a better flipper a bit. Like, it's interesting because obviously, you can do a bunch of this stuff with a regular balisong, but the way that you're able to keep a flow going because there is just genuinely no blade, and instead your entire focus is, with a balisong, some of the focus is on opening it and closing it and stuff like that. There's like different moments in your flipping that sort of define it. But with this thing, when you're watching me flip it, you'll notice it's almost always moving. Like, I'm not really doing anything where I'm stopping to open it or close it or anything like that, right? I'm just messing around with it and playing with it and letting it flow through my hands kind of fluidly. And that is really interesting to me because it shows just kind of a difference in the idea of what you're even doing with it in the first place. And if you can implement the stuff that you kind of learn on this onto an actual balisong, it means that you can improve your overall flow. So, I don't know, it initially started as kind of a joke product of like, oh yeah, let's release a bladeless Vulp and call it the Vulp 360. That would be funny. And then we started making it, and I started actually genuinely spending time with a bladeless balisong, and I started to realize, wait, this is really cool. Like, this is actually interesting. So that is what I wanted to talk about. Now, there is a bit of information that's important to know about this. So obviously you can buy it on Nibali's website. There will be links in the description for that. There's both the converter piece and the fully built version, so you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do. As you can see on this version, I've taken two different sets of handles and color mixed them so that I have a really cool sort of vibe going on with the purple and blue, which I really love. But something to note is that newer versions of Vulp handles, this is something that Nibali's has informed me about that they've changed recently. The spacing in here, like you can see that there's a part where there's the larger channel and then it gets kind of smaller, right? They have changed the spacing of that to accommodate larger washers on all of their products. Apparently they've changed it across the board. Now all of their washers are thicker, which is good for tunes. It makes for better tunes. So I understand why they're doing it. It is a little frustrating, but I get why they're doing it. But because of that, that means that newer Vulp handles will need different sized washers to work on this thing, whereas older Vulp handles, older Vulp handles won't. They'll need like the original size of washer. And so to accommodate for that, we're just going to be including both sizes of washer with the converter piece. So when you buy the converter, you'll get both different sizes of washer to go along with it, which I think is perfect. And then basically you don't even have to like know whether or not you've got a newer or older handle. You just try it on, and if the washers don't fit, try the other washers, right? Like it's relatively straightforward. It could be a little bit annoying, but if the washers don't fit, just try the other washers that came with it. That's why it comes with both. So that's something that I'm going to be making like a full instructional video on the main channel, but I wanted to kind of make this video as like a little bit longer version of the infomercial, right? I just wanted to tell y'all about why we did this, why I think it's a cool idea, why I keep dropping it, and why I think it's kind of important to share the idea and the story of this thing. Because I don't know, I'm really, really, really impressed with it and really happy about it. Like, I genuinely have found that it is a shockingly good toy to play with, because like it does a lot of the stuff that a balisong does for me in terms of being able to like get my flow across, but it is a whole different ball game too. It's a different way to kind of stretch my brain. And what's cool is that what I'm learning on this doesn't fully translate back to balisongs, but it also translates way more than I ever thought it could. Like, I thought I'd have to learn a wholly new way of flipping, but really what this let me do is sort of focus in on some of the tech that I've been learning and get better at it and smoother with it, because there's no blade to kind of help that momentum, so you just have to get good at, you know, coaxing the handles to do what you want, which is a lot of what tech is even about. And so I think that that's just a really cool sort of feature that this guy has imbued into it. So anyways, that's the Vulp 360. I think it's really, really cool. It is compatible with all the different Vulps. The Teflon Vulp works with it. It doesn't work with the Vulp Pro. I want to make that clear. It's just a like standard Vulp thing. But it'll work with all the generations of Vulps. You just need to maybe potentially use a different set of washers, which it includes. But yeah, if you are swapping handles, like say you buy an original one of these, one of the handles will use the thicker washers, but if you swap one of the handles for one of your older handles, just use the washers that came with that other handle, and they'll be the right thickness, because the blades have remained the same thickness the entire time. It's just those washers that changed. So yeah, the washers should absolutely work across all the different ones. So that's the Vulp 360. Very, very exciting. I really hope that you guys like it. It is available for purchase, and the idea, at least right now, is to genuinely make this like a more available product instead of a limited time haha funny joke, because I really think it's worth much more than that, right? I think that there's a lot of value in here, partially because it's a good tool to learn a new style of flipping, or just kind of expand your perspective when it comes to how you can flip a quote-unquote balisong. But the other thing that I think is cool about this is quite literally one of the best like bring it anywhere trainers, and the fact that you can still do a bunch of like actual balisong practice on something, and even potentially things on this that just you cannot do with a balisong. Like, there is a whole new art form sort of waiting to be explored here. Because of that, this is a really cool thing that you can bring anywhere. There's no blade on it. Like, there is literally no worries about bringing this to school or church or whatever. Like, you can bring it anywhere, man. It has no blade. It's awesome. And I can't imagine people getting too upset about it, because there's nothing there. It has little ears. What do you want from me, man? It's awesome. So, yeah. That's pretty much it for this video. That's just a little introduction into the Vulp 360. I'm definitely going to be making more content, both on this channel and on our main channel, about kind of... One of the things I want to do is talk about how flipping this thing works, because it is a completely different experience than flipping a real balisong. But certain things do sort of like meld together and make sense. It's not entirely a new thing, but it is very different and something you kind of have to wrap your brain around and flip in a slightly different way. So I wanted to make like a tutorial series about that to sort of express, oh yeah, this is how you can kind of get into flipping the Vulp 360 and figuring out the way that its style can sort of, you know, work with you and potentially expand your brain and help you make some really cool moves and come up with some cool stuff. I don't know. I believe in y'all. So yeah, that's the Vulp 360. Check it out. There's going to be links in the description, and definitely grab one and, you know, customize it however you want, because it's genuinely so much fun. And as I said, we are also selling just the converter piece by itself, which means you can buy that thing for like less than 20 or 30 bucks. And so it's literally just like, I think it's pretty cheap altogether. I don't want to say the exact price, because I don't know for sure that Nibali's is going to like be able to do exactly what they promised, but hopefully, for a very good price, we'll have even just the converter piece available. So you can either buy a full set of handles for like whatever they're going for, or you can buy the converter piece for even cheaper and just convert any current Vulp that you have, or set of Vulps if you want to make a fun color combination like this. And voila, you're off to the races, man. You're flipping the Vulp 360, a whole new dimension of flipping. Yeah, I don't know. It's so funny to me how this started out as a joke and then became something that I was like genuinely interested in and passionate about, just for me messing around with it for a while. So I think that's incredible. And yeah, thank y'all for watching. Peace.